Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, Executive Editor at ClassicsToday.com, here in our rather empty abode in Brooklyn, which will be here for a little while longer. Most of its stuff having been taken to Connecticut, which is a whole other story that some of you have already encountered, where it's all sitting there in boxes. But I have left behind at least a certain memento of my visit here so that I can continue to work from this location. And today we're beginning our series of great solo artists for ClassicsToday.com subscribers. Their 10 best recordings, of which this is the preview video number 1. And the artist we're featuring this week is the incredibly great Martha Argerich, an artist who I think encapsulates the glory of solo playing, but also some of its pitfalls. Because Martha Argerich, well, she's just amazing. She's 80 years old. She's still going strong. Her technique is undiminished. But interpretively, well, I think she is a living embodiment of the lesson that perfection is not reproducible. Because as her career has gone on, she has spent more and more time living in her little artistic bubble of adulation, and she can do anything she wants. And God knows she's earned the right to do anything she wants. I don't think that the record labels are really fair in exploiting her and recording everything that she's done 100 times over and over and over again, the same repertoire. And since she's an artist for whose major recordings of her major stuff they've instantly become reference recordings of the works in question, what do we expect? What do we have any right to expect? She should not permit herself, in my view, to be exploited by the record labels. And if she wants to give up, for example, performing solo because it makes her nervous, that's her right. She should also give up recording. She should have stopped. She should have stopped quite a while ago, unless she's doing new repertoire, which she has not done before, because otherwise we're going to wind up with what we have, which is, multiple recordings of the same things, which are always at a very high level technically. I mean, technically she's amazing, but interpretively, that's another question. Like every artist, she's dependent on the circumstances and how she feels and what's going on the day. And she was always a very impetuous and improvisatory artist, which I think hides the fact that she's also a very discerning and intelligent artist. Her technique can be so dazzling that you forget just how brilliant the thinking is behind what she does. But because she's that kind of a recreative artist who likes to do different things a little bit in small doses here and there, it is a tendency to simply make comparisons from one day to the next. And nobody is going to be perfect every day. Nobody. It just doesn't happen. And it hasn't happened with Argerich. And as a result of that, I think we have a large discography, which is extremely impressive from a pure virtuoso point of view, but which has so much pointless duplication, some of which would be considered marvelous had it not been for another marvelous recording of the same thing that she'd already done before. And this is complicated by the fact that because she doesn't like to perform solo anymore, most of what she does now is chamber music and concerto music with partners who are seldom as good as she is. One example of that was her recent absolutely miserable recording of the Bartók Sonata for pianos and two percussion. Sonata for two pianos and percussion. That's better. With Daniel Barenboim, which is just dreadful. It's slow and uninteresting, and she'd done the work twice before, marvelously. And what was the point of that? It was pathetic, and you don't want somebody this level of artistry to be making recordings that are pathetic. So she doesn't particularly care, obviously. She doesn't want to, exercise any kind of control over what's going on or what the labels are doing. And that's a shame, because that is a direct influence on her legacy and our perception of it. And I would really rather just have a few really, really, really great recordings than a few really, really, really great recordings and some really, really, really good recordings and some not so good recordings. But that's the way it works, right? I mean, what's the point in complaining? You can't have one without the other, can you, in most cases? So today, as a preview to her 10 best recordings, which you can see over at classicstoday.com, I want to talk about this, the birth of a legend. These are early recordings. They're actually radio broadcast recordings. They were recorded by WDR, which is Cologne radio, essentially, in West Germany. What was then West Germany, now it's just Germany. And we've got some things here that she hasn't recorded before, and some things which she did. But these were recorded in 1960 and 1967 in very decent broadcast mono sound. 2 discs on Deutsche Grammophon, and they're quite fine. And I just need to tell you what you get so that you can go forth and enjoy. First, there are a couple things that she never did. The Mozart Sonata number 18 in D major, Kerschel 576. It's a very good performance. Argerich dips gingerly into Mozart, I would say. Her big Mozart work is probably the D minor piano concerto, which she's recorded a couple of times and which she doesn't ever sound entirely comfortable doing, in my view. There are so many wonderful performances of that piece by pianists who are real Mozart people. And she's not really a Mozart person, but she still plays the stuff. And of course, she plays it impeccably. And the sonata is a lovely performance. It's just not going to be the most memorable one you've ever heard. Then we have the Beethoven Sonata number 7, opus 10, number 3. Also a newish work, I think a new work to her discography. And that's quite a different story. It's very, very exciting. Argerich has been very selective in her choice of Beethoven. There was a rumor that she was going to do the complete piano concerti with Nicholas Harnoncourt. This was after she made that really interesting Schumann concerto with Harnoncourt. And in the event, Harnoncourt wound up doing them with Aimard, which was a pity because they just weren't very interesting. And it would have been so much fun if it had been Argerich. But she doesn't do the 4th and 5th piano concertos, although she adores the 5th piano concertos. She's only done 1, 2, and 3, of which 1 and 2 are outstanding performances that she's done multiple times. 3, not so much. So there you go. Then we've got the Prokofiev Toccata, one of her signature pieces that she's recorded multiple times. And whoa, can she play the Prokofiev Toccata, and Ravel's Gaspard de la Nuit and the Sonatine. Also, linchpins of her repertoire that she's recorded in stereo in performances that I think are probably marginally better than these, but who cares? This is early, youthful, and fiery, and she just flings herself at the music, and sparks fly all over the place. And then we've got the Prokofiev Third Sonata, which she hasn't done before, and which is wonderful to have. She's a wonderful Prokofiev pianist, as you gather from the Toccata, and also from Sonata number 7, which is on here, which she's also done before. But here you go. I mean, it's extremely exciting, and comparisons, as they say in the biz, are invidious. They don't tell us very much because, one level of excellence to another level of excellence is still excellence. And that's about all you can say about it. So if you're really curious to see what the 10 best recordings of Martha Argerich are, hop on over to classicstoday.com. If you're not a subscriber, please consider signing up now. 'Tis the season. And keep on listening, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.